Hey there once again, people, and guess who? This is Greg, aka Crazy G, and today we have a well-known, multi-platinum, award-winning band, and it is my extreme honor and pleasure to introduce to you at this time Bryce Solderberg and Jason Wade from the rock band Lifehouse. Hello, welcome, and thanks for taking the time to chat with us here at NECR. How is everything going, guys?
We're doing good, man. We're 6 shows into this tour with Switchfoot. We had a day off yesterday in Toronto, and everything's good, man. Everything's good.
That's spectacular. Let's get right into everything right now. Lifehouse released the Greatest Hits CD on July 14th. It is a culmination of so many great songs from the band. What would you like to tell us about this CD, and what is the story behind making a Greatest Hits album at this particular time?
It just felt like the right moment, man. I mean, we've been around for 17 years. We made 7 albums, and it just felt like a really good time to put a Greatest Hits record out to go along with this tour that we're doing with Switchfoot. And it's basically all of the singles that we put out throughout the years, and then 3 tracks that we believe are kind of fan favorites. A song called Everything, a song called From Where You Are, and a song called It Is What It Is. And those kind of just round off the Greatest Hits as kind of like fan favorites.
Nice. The band has always worked diligently with everything it's done, and it shows through the history of Lifehouse. You have been touring constantly through the years, and as you just stated, you just kicked off the Looking for Summer tour with Switchfoot on July 23rd. What can you tell us about this tour, and how do you guys keep up this incredibly rigorous touring schedule for all these years?
Yeah, I mean, we love touring just as much as we love making records. There's 2 sides to the coin of being in this band, and right now we kind of get to be on the touring side of it. We're teamed up with Switchfoot. It's a great combination of us being with them. Our fan bases are meshing together well. Musically, we're on the same page, and they're just great dudes. It's like summer camp out here. It's a lot of fun, and we're about 6 songs in, and we're just finding our groove, touring through the States again, and the fans are really receptive, and, we're just grateful at this career, at this juncture, after 17 years of a band, that we can still do what we do. It's a blast.
I can imagine, man. You've produced so much, and, Lifehouse has many great hits, as we've briefly discussed. Chart-topping hits include You and Me, First Time, Halfway Gone, Hurricane, and Hanging by a Moment, which was the most played radio track of 2001. What does it mean to the band knowing how many have embraced your music through the years and continue to support and love what you produce?
Oh, man, it means everything to us. Getting out there and playing in front of the fans, making that connection has just been huge. And, especially ever since Hanging by a Moment came out, we owe so much to that song because it really opened up a whole other world to us, and it's kind of like the catalyst that got all of our other songs on the radio after that, So we've just been really fortunate and just don't take any of it for granted.
Very cool. Jason wrote Hanging by a Moment, among many others. What is it like when you want to start to write? Do you have any special techniques or any processes that you follow?
When I first started writing songs, my process was to just pick up an acoustic guitar and just kind of mess around with some chords until a structure would start to take shape, and then I would just start singing kind of gibberish and just kind of like sing melodies until words would start to form, and then sometimes I would record it just on a cassette tape and then listen back to it, and then all of a sudden try to piece it together. And then, to be honest, man, some of the more popular songs that I've written it's almost like an out-of-body experience. Like Hanging by a Moment was written in like 10 minutes when I didn't even have a chance to like think about what I was doing. The song just kind of came out of nowhere, and those are the moments that are the best, because that's just when the inspiration is hitting you so hard that you're just channeling it from another place.
I have to also ask you about another track as well. When you proposed to your wife, you serenaded her with You and Me. I'm very curious to know the story behind that.
Sure. I was really, really young. It's really interesting that You and Me was written during the first album, but didn't appear until like 6 or 7 years later. But as soon as I wrote the song, I co-wrote it with Jude. He gave me these chords, and I got really inspired, and, I was in love at the time, and I knew right away I wanted to propose to my girlfriend with this song. And it was on my birthday. Disneyland was like our first date when we were just kids, and we were really young. And that Pirates of the Caribbean ride, there's a restaurant inside that was kind of like a special place to us. And so I had a friend come out, brought a boombox out, and it was the first version of You and Me. He brought like a pirate chest, and there was a ring inside there, and it was just kind of magical. And then she like started crying, and then the song was really special to us. And I think it's really interesting that it became a big wedding song after that.
As mentioned earlier, Lifehouse has worked hard at their craft and what they do. Since 2000, the band has released 7 albums, as you stated, that have cumulatively sold 15 million units. It is pretty tough for any artist these days to stay that strong and keep it going. You've done that without a hitch, it seems. As you look back from the start up until now, how do you view what I call a phenomenal accomplishment?
I mean, I think it's just about staying present and just soaking in the moment that you're in as much as possible, especially the amount of time. 17 years being a band, seeing the peaks and valleys, and going through all of that together, it's been a huge gift for us, and we're so grateful, and we still stay in that state of gratitude as much as we can. Obviously, not every moment's perfect, but, 17 years, 7 records, and, we're, right now, everything's great, There's not really much more I can say about it other than, we just kind of stay particular to the moment and gratitude. It's tough for bands these days, to have a career at this point and to release a greatest hit. So we kind of know that there's, all sorts of challenges, and we've, we're enjoying what we do still. We still like each other.
I guess that's part of, how can I say it? Part of the main question is how much you guys can put up with each other.
No, man, it's true. You're on stage for 10% of the time, and 90% of the time we're on this tour bus together, man. So we're in each other's space, pretty much every day, all day. So it's you gotta learn, when to give each other space. But the fact that we're still having fun is, a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And again, and that wasn't towards a dig or anything. It's just that, again, you really have to be in fine tune with each other. And you're all gonna have bad days, but it seems like you guys have done it quite well. And, that's amazing to me.
Oh, thank you.
Lifehouse has had many radio-friendly songs and has mixed so many styles into their sound. What was it, or is it like, exploring these different styles to get the sound you were looking for?
A lot of it has to do with just, using whatever tools that you have in the studio that are at your disposal. But it's always nice to kind of experiment with just textures and kind of do things a little outside the box. Like if you're going to do a piano part, running it through a pedal, or just doing anything you can to make some sounds that spark different ideas, and that's the creative process in the studio that I think all of us really like, because there's no rules. It's just anything goes.
Bryce?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's just not about creating the same record that we've always created, or trying to encapsulate the same sound that has been commercial for us that's worked. We try to just explore our boundaries and push the envelope and raise the bar as much as we can when we make records. And every chapter is different. It's kind of for example, you have a Ouija board and everyone puts their hands on it and it moves the way that it's supposed to move. And I think that records kind of write themselves as they go, and we just have to facilitate and be present enough to garner the best record that we can. And I mean, there's technology that's come into play. There's all sorts of different tricks of the trade that we're learning and going with every time. But as long as we're moving forward, then that's what we're supposed to be doing when we're creating art.
Cool. Nice. What would you say, and this is for both of you, is the most memorable for you through the band's career? If there is any one particular moment.
Yeah, I'd have to say getting to open for the Rolling Stones back in 2002, 2003 was a really pinnacle moment for me. I think for me, the first ever show that we did playing in the Philippines, it was pretty overwhelming there. We sold out an arena, and it was probably the most incredible, energetic show that we've ever had from an audience.
Cool. Both stellar memories right there. And again, you guys can both answer, who are some of the bands and or your own personal musical influences?
For me, it all started with bands like Nirvana, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, and then I got really into the Beatles, Paul Simon, Elliott Smith, and so it kind of started in the kind of grunge era, and then it just kind of went all over the place. I love Jackson Browne, James Taylor, pretty much anything that's great. Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd. For me, it's the same. I have the same influences, obviously, a lot of classic rock stuff from early days of music, but the Seattle grunge scene in the early 90s was big, and it's morphed into, we get influence from so many different genres of music, or anything that good or hits us or strikes a chord or inspires us. And it also comes from great movies, great books, just great art. As an artist, you pull and you channel from a bunch of different things.
songs, and whatever inspires you, you just kind of go with it in that moment.
Nice. Cool. Excellent. Well, guys, we're just about there, so I'm just going to go into this one last quick question. From what we've covered, is there anything else you would like to say, and is there anything coming up in the future for Lifehouse that we might not know about that you can share with us?
We've been talking about potentially making a new album next year, so we're going to do this tour and then hopefully get inspired with some new songs, and this kind of greatest hits thing is wrapping up one chapter, and then hopefully we can move on to another one for next year.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Wade, Bryce Solderberg, two amazing artists for the incredible band Lifehouse. I thank you. NECR thanks you. I wish you the best with everything. The greatest hits CD, this tour, the new, hopefully soon, CD that you're coming out with, and good luck with everything. It seems like you don't need it. You're doing all the right things, man, so I don't know.
We're having fun. Thanks so much. Good talking.
You too, guys. Have a good one.
All right, take care. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Wade, Bryce Solderberg for the well-known multi-platinum award-winning band Lifehouse. Check them out. They're on tour, looking for summer. Greatest hit CD, and it looks like they'll be coming out with another one next year, so stay tuned for that. But get out to see a show. That's going to wrap this one up. This is Greg, a.k.a. Crazy G for NECR. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back. I'm out of here. Peace. Later.